Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Borderline Podcast with me, your host, Andrew Willox. I want to start off tonight's episode by just saying that obviously I have been struggling of late. I am doing a hell of a lot better, and I just wanted to make it clear once again that the messages of support never go unnoticed. They've been tremendous this week yet again. I love you guys. You are absolutely the best, and yeah, we're absolutely going to get through this together, which is why I want to come on and speak tonight a little bit about everything that's been going on and whatnot. Because it's important that, once again, that if you don't follow the page at Andrew's Anxiety and Adventure, if you don't have Instagram at this stage, just go and download Instagram, please. Even if you just follow the one page. I know it's going to be boring. But yeah, just go ahead and do it. So much easier. Because then you don't know about half the shit that I'm going to be speaking about on here. Half the time you won't know what's going on. Anyway, so I want to just start off by saying that obviously I wanted to do a podcast last week, which was the kind of interview of me because I was so pissed off with how the very first podcast episode went, and I really wanted to readdress that in a really good kind of interview form, and I just put myself under far too much pressure with that. And I'm not saying that that's been the cause of my anxiety and my kind of little mini breakdown of this week, so to speak, but just added pressures go a long way with me. And yet again, it really hit me last week on Sunday night when I was doing it that me and Sass was obviously going to be the guest, and it really hit me quite bad after we were at it for about 4 hours, and in that time I got 29 minutes of recording done. And I had like a script in front of me, I had all my sheets of paper in front of me, everything like that, and I couldn't focus, I couldn't read. Even when I was trying to like speak, I would maybe get like 2 or 3 words, and then my mind was just going blank, and it was just horrible, and that was getting me really anxious. So yeah, it wasn't quite the podcast itself. It was just like the fact that I was just like, oh my god, what the fuck is going on again with my head? This stuff should be relatively easy for me, or at least I think it should be really easy for me. And again, obviously, I put myself under a little bit of pressure with that. But if I'm honest, obviously, for anybody that has been listening, that I have been kind of struggling overall in a kind of loose way for the last couple of weeks with what I call head noise. And that's just been getting worse, although ironically, it's pretty much gone now, thank fuck. But I want to just talk about head noise properly and what that actually really is for me. And when I tried explaining this to the doctor in that the other night, by the end of this episode, you're going to understand my frustration with the doctor, okay? I'm obviously not going to say who it was. I'm not going to diss any kind of thing. I get everybody has a job and whatnot, but I was fucking raging. Anyway, yeah, so head noise for me, right? So I really struggle with like self-talk from like the minute that I wake up in the morning. So as I've spoke about before, when I wake up in the morning, it's probably around about 5 to 10 seconds before I'm literally putting on my clothes already. In that time, then I go back for my phone and whatnot. It's just so automatic for me. It's ever since I had my main breakdown earlier in the year, which again, I'm going into like a tiny little bit of detail tonight. But ever since then, yeah, I've been like up early straight away. And from the moment I get up, that pisses me off because straight away I'm thinking, Ken, why the fuck, why can't I just lie in bed? So the negative self-talk starts for me from like second 0 of me waking up in the morning. And really, my mood then depends on how much my self-talk then perpetuates and really goes on. So I'm just going to give you an example. So I've gotten out of bed, let's just say a minute has gone by, I've gotten into the bathroom, and I came downstairs to roll myself a cigarette or make myself a glass of water or whatnot. Usually by then I would have my mind's made up its decision for the entire day of what it expects from me, because it's really hard to explain. So I can like be stood there and there's just an argument appearing in my head that I have no idea how to deal with, and then I kind of shut it off, and then another one appears, and then another one appears, and then another one appears, and it's constant like that, like these hypothetical, some of them are real arguments, or these hypothetical arguments, and it's like the self-debate with my self-talk, and it's worryingly got to the stage now that I've actually had to stop myself speaking them out loud, which is why I went to the doctors as well the other night, which is one of the honest open things I've not shared with you. It's just that it feels now that like there's so many times I'm like, yeah, just about to come out. I'm like, got you, just stopped you. And annoyingly, most of that is when I'm very angry with what's going on, so I'm like ready to go. It's like a little fucking squeal that could come out. And that's hard to deal with. And when you're not concentrating, when you know you're kind of struggling mentally anyway, you're going into work and it's hard to concentrate at work at times. Obviously, so, work's a really good distraction for me most of the time. But when I'm really bad, it's obviously I just can't concentrate. There was a video that watched the other day saying, them days that you read an email 6 times over and it doesn't make any sense to you. I have a lot of that, and generally, yeah, I don't do too bad at work. I think probably what I haven't admitted to myself enough was obviously the kind of trauma of what I dealt with earlier in the year with the breakdown, and obviously the really horrible suicidal thoughts that went with that. I've not really dealt with that. So obviously, when it came to work this time around, work's a really good blocker of anxiety for me when I'm there. But the idea of getting into work was really difficult. Because this head noise was so much, it's almost to the embarrassing stage that I'm like, anybody that's speaking to me, I just don't know how they're going to react. I don't know how I'm going to react. And a lot of me's changed this year, and that's again why I wanted to go to the doctors. I feel myself, I'm not aggressive per se that I'm going to punch somebody or anything like that, but anybody knows me, would probably agree with me on that I'm being a little bit more snappy and just a little bit more irritable, just general, which again, yeah, that could be a big side effect of being on the top dose of citalopram, which again is why I went to the doctor to discuss this stuff. So I'm not really painting a very good picture for the NHS just now, am I? And quite fucking rightly so. So we have head noise, and so that can go on. That then it just, let's just say something does happen during the day, that something something negative happens to me. Maybe somebody said a negative comment, or I've gotten into our argument. That will come back so many times throughout the day, and I'm on about like over and over and over. And I'll get to this is that I do actually speak out loud, especially if I'm in a car or if I'm by myself. I've caught myself speaking out loud, and that's embarrassing. So again, it was the kind of worry of that. And obviously, I've spoken. I'm not a diagnosed ADHD. I am not going to say I am the ADHD. It's just the information that I've been reading about ADHD does fit the bill with me a lot, with the head noise and the racing thoughts and the inabilities to concentrate. It's almost internal ADHD, it's called. And that's something that I've been learning about greatly. And again, that's something that I want to speak to the doctor about. I keep on forming a pattern here. I'm going to stop doing that because I really could open a can of worms with that. So yeah, enough of that one. And obviously, overall, it's made me very aware of just the kind of the entire change that I feel in myself. That I do have this disassociation almost with myself, just now that I don't have my own identity, and it almost finds that I force myself to find that identity, and then when I do, I get really excited about it, and I get really kind of pumped up, and I feel fucking great about life, and I feel really good about everything. And then the next day it's like the mood hits or the personality is different, and it's less like there's anger, there's not hate in any way, but there's like upset, guilt, or anything like that, and it's just up and down. And obviously, is that moods, is that obviously on the more depressive sort of scales, stuff like that. So these are all kind of anxieties as such that I have, and it's just trying to understand that. And what I don't want to do is go down and waste more time taking different medicines, because what I'm coherently worried about is getting worse, because I know how fucking bad I felt earlier in the year. So whenever I got that kind of anxiety feeling last weekend, that just got a hell of a lot worse, because all these existing thoughts were coming to fruition quite recently too. And obviously I was being worried about it. And obviously the reason I don't want to go down the medical route, and it's one that I've been very open with, is that I just don't have the fucking energy in me to go down and piss or say piss around. It sounds so insignificant, doesn't it? Like, I was very suicidal on 30 milligrams of citalopram. That's why I went up to 40 milligrams. I don't want to have to taper off all the way down that, because I know the dangers of tapering off citalopram are there anyway. Now, for somebody that's had a little history of a suicidal past, I don't think it's right to even think about going down that route until we've got to the absolute base of the problem, which I think is only fair. And like I've said before, if somebody turned around to me and says, Andrew, this is all in your fucking head, it is just anxiety, it is just depression, then that is fine, and that's my answer. But then at least I can go back and say, well, what is the right medicine? What is good for me? Because, you look at venlafaxine. venlafaxine has norepinephrine in it, which is an energy booster. Do I fucking need an energy booster when I'm jumping out of bed, within 10 seconds in the morning? No. So why would I want to waste my time going all the way down to 0 milligrams of citalopram to get myself up to, 75 to 150 milligrams of venlafaxine to find out that, shit, I can't fucking handle this and have to go through the entire process again. So, yeah, I think that's just like a fair concern. So obviously I'd went to the doctors the other night to kind of discuss all these things. And yeah, it just didn't go very well. I basically came out with absolutely zero answers and zero direction where to go, which is really good now that I'm kind of looking down the private counselling route. Going to go down there, maybe some psychotherapy or whatever can kind of be done with that. And I've applied for a couple of charities to just try and get to the root of my problem. And like I say, it's I have no problem going on different medicines, and I have no problem being on different medicines for the rest of my life. It's just that I want to know this time that I ain't fucking around with myself for no reason, because I really don't want to go through that shit again. You can hear it in my voice. It gets quite quivery when I start talking about it, which is why, again, I said that I've not really dealt with that area of the trauma again, so I'm not going to do that episode, that interview, or like talk about that stuff per se until, maybe I'm in conversation with somebody and we can do it that way. So yeah, obviously when it came out the doctors, I just felt really fucking lost and isolated. That I was just like, shit, where the fuck do I go from here? I'm not suicidal just now. I'm not going to say I'm a million miles away from it because I wasn't doing too good in the middle of the week, but especially after that. And then I'm thinking that basically his suggestion was to come off antidepressants altogether. I was like, what? Like, what is this? No, this isn't. It's one, like I said, it's one thing being a doctor and getting advice. The least that I expect back is just a little bit of compassion and respect and understand when I'm talking to you that it's a massive deal for me not to fuck around with medication. Don't then turn around to me and then say, I think it'll be better if you come off medication. That's just not going to work for me right now. So where do I go from here? So yeah, I've been feeling pretty good for the last couple of days actually. I've had really good sleep. 2 nights in a row. I've slept for around about 8 hours a night, which is ridiculously rare for me. Generally, since the end of the P season, my sleep has been kind of better, been kind of around about the 5 hours a night, or maybe 6 hours broken into a 4 and a 2 hour or something like that. Which I know that's totally normal, which is I'm happy with that. So sleep's been a lot better. I feel a lot more settled in my mood now, and it's nice to kind of get back into thinking about doing a little bit of the podcast and whatnot again, because I do like doing them, just stuff like that, just coming up and talking. I know there isn't really a base to the subject to this episode, but it's good just to come out and just so everybody does understand my situation. So then when I am posting stuff on Instagram and whatnot, you're yeah, right, now that does make sense. That's why he's so fucking angry, or that's why he's so pissed off, or that's why he's so happy. I am quite a happy person at times too. So I'm still signed up for this week coming up. I'm not too sure. We'll see how it goes. Will I try and get back to work before then? We'll see how it goes. Just how I'd love to. Again, I don't really like spending too much time off work. I think, I love routine. I work best under a nice, not like a forced routine. It doesn't need to be like hour by hour like Elon Musk stuff. But I definitely like I kind of set my plan in the day, and that kind of keeps me right. And my sanity. It keeps my headspace in a good place too. So obviously that was pretty much that. Symptoms wise of what I've been kind of having for the last week was primarily like obviously a lot of bad night sweats and a lot of sweating issues. I wasn't sick anywhere. Well, I wasn't sick. I was kind of bulky. I struggled to eat for 2 days. But yeah, other than that, I was nowhere near as bad. So it's it was it was more of a kind of worry than anything else. I think it's been a kind of like a worry episode, panicking over panic, I guess you'd call it. Sure, that was a book that I just read, wasn't it? Is that the name of it? I've just stole somebody's name of the book, Panicking Over Panic. If not, I'm stealing that. That's fucking genius. Ooh. Cha-ching, ching, 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 ching. Here comes my Spotify contract. La, 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 la. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And that's, the depth of this episode was to get out, clear my head. This is good for me to get stuff out and talk about it. Maybe you experience something that I've just spoken, maybe about the head noise, the racing thoughts and whatnot. And If it is, then, give me a message and we can talk about it some more. Just a general awareness for what it's like in a week of me, I guess. But we're getting there. And fucking loving the gym again as well. Still, some cool little ideas that me and Alan have got discussed this week too. So, going to finding him a message too. So, guys, yeah, I love you, loads, and again, thank you so much for the words of support. It means the absolute world to me. I am actually going to spend a little bit of time trying, really try and get the music into these episodes. I want that sexy boy song on here ASAP. So there we go. That was another 15 minutes of me rambling on. So guys, I love you loads. Thank you so much for your support. This has been the Borderline Podcast, and I've been Andrew Willox. Good night.